go back to our subject,
Sure.
which is basically, we're talking about success books, not just necessarily self-help books, but success books. We talked about, the advent of some of these self-help books that started a little bit over 100 years ago, and Napoleon Hill. Right? And I think it was him, I'm not entirely sure, but he's being credited with this quote: if you can't manage your own mental attitude, what makes you think you can manage others?
Very true.
Right? That even holds true for parenting. Right? If you're trying to influence your child on how to be successful, I'm sure that's every parent's goal. Do you know the principles that are involved with really truly becoming successful?
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of that has to do with, can you control your own emotions, your own reactions to things?
It's kind of like how we talk to our instructors. If you're not living it and you're not, doing what you being the leadership example and the great example, how can you teach others?
Exactly.
How can you expect others to do that?
Absolutely. So the book we're going to talk here about today has a sort of a funny title, and excuse the fact that this book is very worn out.
Well, that's a good sign because it means it's been read.
That's right. It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. What to Say When You Talk to
And let's
Yourself.
just be clear, this is not a book on anybody that's schizophrenic with multiple personalities, anything like that. It's a real book.
And it was written by Shad Helmstetter. It's an interesting first name. It's S-H-A-D, Shad Helmstetter. Okay? I believe it was written back in 1982. Okay? Now, let me actually turn to my co-host one more time to shed some light on this particular subject, because you have read this book, you're living by this book, and how has it helped you?
Tremendously. We talked a little bit about that earlier. Not only did I read the book, I did a workbook from the book that we use in our leadership class, and we're starting to implement more and more. The book is a very easy read, which I liked, and it's not like this thick, so it's pretty quick to go through. And some of it, it's pretty much easy to understand. The only reason I did a worksheet for is because it was for smaller children. I wanted our smaller, younger students to be able to understand what was going on. Sure. But it's done a huge improvement. I would say probably foremost in the way I control situations that frustrate me, the way I control my attitude, how I let my attitude control me through the day. Like, maybe there's one thing that bothered me. Before, I would have let that bother me all day long. And you could see it through me. You could see it through my attitude. I won't ask him for an opinion, but he's going to. If I asked you, what improvement have you seen in the last year, you're probably going to say a pretty big improvement.
Actually, I have. I mean, first of all, I've seen a big improvement in myself, and that's the most, that's a very exciting part right there. But also, I definitely have seen it in you as well, and you've probably noticed it in me as well. And we've noticed it even with our family, because everybody in our family reads this book. Everybody on our staff reads this book.
It makes you a more positive person. It makes you able to set goals. It makes you not. Sure, you're going to go through your low periods, but it gets you through that. It's some people will go through their low periods and stay at that low for months on end. This book shows you how to jump right out of it. Shows you how to just totally take a negative and turn it into a positive. And in life, now, that's a must.
Right.
How many people are on antidepressants right now? How many people go through life just, everything's always, on the negative, or it's never, that stuff doesn't work for me. No, that can work for anybody, and it's proven to work. It has worked through our whole family.
Okay. So what we're actually talking about here is self-talk. Right? Mm-hmm. In other words, what does the title say? It says what to say when you talk to yourself. Now, I can hear some people say, like, "Oh, I don't talk to myself."
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
You just don't realize it.
Right. You just don't realize it, right? I mean, the moment you have a self-image, you must have somehow arrived at that self-image. If you tell yourself, "Well, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at math," or "I eat too much," or anything like that, well, you're talking to yourself. The problem is that most of us use the wrong kind of self-talk. We're going to go into the 5 different types of self-talk in a moment here, but to give you a really good example is, let's say you have a habit of telling yourself, "Well, I really should become more organized." That's a bad thing to tell yourself.
Yes.
You figure it would be a good thing,
Some
right?
people don't even realize what they do is negative self-talk.
Right. And the reason why that is a bad thing to tell yourself is because what's the end of that thought process. If you tell yourself, I should become more organized.
I should, but I never will.
But I never will, or I'm not organized now,
Yeah.
right? So it has the same power of you continually telling yourself, I am not organized, I am not organized, I am not organized. Right? So the thing is, your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between truth and fiction. Right?
It
And
takes everything in.
it takes everything in like a tape recorder. And when you talk to yourself, you are loading this and programming this into your subconscious mind continually every day. So if you continue to tell yourself, I have an eating problem, or I'm always stressing out, or whatever it is that's negative, it becomes true. Whatever you keep on telling
Your
yourself,
mind is really like a computer.
it is like a computer. Whatever you keep on telling yourself, eventually it takes form. Okay? Now that doesn't mean you can just tell yourself, I'm a math whiz, and then all of a sudden you can solve math problems. But you can say things like, I am a good learner, I never give up, I always solve every problem I have. And if you did that regularly, again and again and again and again, it would completely change your feel towards that
That
subject.
actually helped our daughter with math, actually.
It
Remember, she had a hard time with that. She started using self-talk. I'm good at math. I can do this. And she actually was it helped her to actually improve, her math skills.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, the specifics of self-talk, you really have to read the whole book in order to get to that. But the point is, we all use self-talk, and we most of the time do it subconsciously, and we're unaware of it. And because of that, we're slipping into the wrong kind of self-talk.
It can be anything you hear, anything you see, anything. Anything your senses take in can all be loaded into your computer, which is your mind.
As a matter of fact, what we should probably do is go to a commercial right now, so that way we can talk about 5 of the steps of self-talk.
Repeat the question really quick.
The question was, I think you took it from me, but I think it was, how many windows does the Empire State Building have? And
Correct.
it did give us the clue that there are 101 stories.
So there's more than 100. And actually, I forgot to realize that I'm going to be, whoever calls it, emails, I guess, with the correct answer, I'm going to give them one of our commemorative shirts.
Okay.
These are a limited supply, too. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Yes, they are.
So
and they should email us where?
Blackbeltparenting@yahoo.com.
blackbeltparenting@yahoo.com. When we come back from the commercial, we'll talk about the book a little bit more.
And our guest will be on.
And our guest.